What's going on, Hella Inspired family? We're here on the west side of Atlanta with Daya Brown. Thank you for pulling up.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Of course. So let's get right into it.
All right, let's do it.
So with you growing up in Atlanta, what unique perspective or experiences did Atlanta give you?
A lot, actually. I actually grew up around this area where we are. My dad owns a church, or he's a founder of a church, Impact Church, and we started at Brown, right? Brown Middle School. And so I think being around this area provided me a sense of duality, in a sense, because I'm around creatives, I'm around business people. It's just so much to offer. And I think because of where I grew up, that's kind of like why I am the way I am.
Yeah.
Because I've experienced and I've learned and I observed just being in this type of space.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's what kind of provides that unique edge to what I do, who I am.
And how was it growing up as a preacher's kid?
Ooh, growing up as a preacher's kid is hard. Like now it's growing up as a political daughter, or like whatever you call it, a politician's daughter. But I think growing up as a preacher's daughter is another reason of why I am the way I am. I think it's because you have a lot of eyes, you have a lot of opinions. A lot of people didn't want me to grow up. And when I was growing up and just becoming who I was as like a woman, as a Black woman, a lot of people didn't like that. And it was opinion after opinion after opinion. And I think after like my parents' divorce in the church, it was kind of like, oh, they finally saw me as a young woman. And it was a lot. It was a lot. But I think being a preacher's daughter, being a preacher's kid, it takes a lot, and it takes a lot of having to just maintain of like being yourself and not caring not caring like what others have to say per se. But yeah, that's being a preacher's daughter.
Yeah. And my parents got divorced when I was very young too.
Yeah.
How was that like dynamic growing up?
Well, it shifted a lot, and I think it was an inspiration for a lot of the things I've accomplished. I think my parents divorced around 7th, 8th grade, and that forced me to have to like grow up really fast. That was when I was in middle school just doing everything. Like I didn't feel like I had the time to process it because it happened fast, and number two, I didn't want to process it. And I think that kind of like taught me that I have a type of coping mechanism that isn't healthy. Like I try to just get busy. However, it was it was a pivotal moment in my life. It was an inspiration for all the things that I've done almost. So yeah.
Most definitely. I had that same coping mechanism.
Hello.
And then when I slow down, I start feeling weird. Like, whoa, I have to think and feel this stuff. So,
you have to think, and sometimes you don't want to think.
No.
It's like that.
Yeah. So fast forward a little bit till you get into high school.
Yeah.
You were super involved in high school.
Yeah.
And you started your own company also in high school. So how was being a leader in high school and also managing school?
How was that? I don't know. I think I had a pretty balanced like high school experience. Like a lot of people tell me like, oh, Dad, you're doing too much. I'm like, I still go out. I still have my teenage experience. But I think at the school that I went to, we praised leadership. We praised a lot of things. We praised creativity and just being a regular teenager in Atlanta. But I think it was because I saw what others were doing when I was like in my freshman year of high school, and I was like, I want to be just like them or more. So I had a lot of blueprints, and I had a village in Westlake where I had teachers, principals, assistant principals, counselors just pouring into me, telling me I can do whatever I needed to do and how to do it, and here's who you need to talk to in order to do it. So I think just like being in that atmosphere, it just kind of helped me have a balanced life during that time. Yeah.
And I read somewhere that you study other successful students that came before you.
Right.
So how did that help with like your discipline and your vision for where you wanted to be?
Yeah, like I was saying, it was just the blueprint. Like I studied how they did it, what they did in high school, and what they were doing in college. So I saw like the before and after. I was studying both of those things. And then during high school, I was in a Harvard program. Now it's called Veritas School. Yeah. But being around like 25 Black students who are just like you, that provided me that discipline. That provided me that blueprint. Because we weren't just learning debate. We were learning how to be a leader, how to be disciplined in your field. What is your field? Like, who are you as a person? I think a lot of people look at that program like, oh, you're just learning rhetoric, debate. No, it's bigger than that. You're learning who you are as a person. Yeah. So that played a pivotal role. But we will get into that later, I'm guessing.
Definitely, yeah. So you got accepted into 54 colleges and over $1 million in scholarships. So what was that first, like, I know it happened over time, but what was that initial, like, reception from your family, from your friends?
Yeah, I had a pretty interesting, like, college application process. So a lot of those schools came from, like, just going to college fairs and getting on-site acceptance letters. I think my family was never worried in terms of like getting a college acceptance, right? Because they knew I prepared for this. I've been preparing for that since sophomore year in high school because, again, I was studying people who have already done it before. But I think in terms of getting into Duke University, I was so scared. But my parents and my family played a pivotal role in saying, you know, hey, here are people, Duke alumni, who you can talk to. And it just started all making sense for me. And then I got in December, but I think getting into Duke, that's when things started changing. That's when the acceptances started coming, and it was like, oh wow, oh you're actually doing it. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. It was a surreal experience, but I appreciated it. And it again is why I'm here, and why I'm keep doing more things.
Yeah. And how was it getting recognized by the Washington Post and Good Morning America?
Oh, it was a lot. Yeah. It was a lot.
A lot at once.
It was a lot at once because it was so many platforms. It was so many people who wanted to talk. I mean, podcasts, interviews, magazines. But I took it and I understood like, okay, yes, I got into college, but here's other things that I'm doing. So it provided me 10 times more opportunities. But it was a beautiful experience. I have no hate towards it. I think it taught me how people react. Like people who don't know you, I'm getting hate. I'm like, why are y'all hating right now?
For what?
They would just say the most outrageous things too. Yeah. I'm like, what is going on? But it that also taught me discipline, right? Not taking into consideration what other people were thinking about me because you don't know me, you don't know what I've been through or how I've gotten to this place that I am today.
And at the same time, that's a reflection of how they feel about themselves.
Right.
Honestly, so you can't take that to heart at all.
Exactly, and that's why I kept it pushing.
Yeah. So out of 54 schools, what made Duke feel like the right one?
So originally, Duke was not on my list at all. Junior year, I wanted, my dream school was USC.
USC?
Southern California, right. Southern California, I wanted to go so bad. I visited USC, Stanford, UCLA. What else did I visit? NYU, Columbia, those are my top schools. But I visited them and I hated them. I was like, what is going on? Yeah. Mind you, throughout my whole college application process, I'm like, okay, these are the schools that I'm going to. And then coincidentally, we visited my high school, we visited Duke, A&T, and Howard one weekend after I visited all these schools. And when I stepped onto the campus, I was like, oh my God, I really love Duke. I mean, I think we have this perception of PWIs that Black people aren't there, people who are like you aren't there. But when I got on the campus, I was greeted by members of D9, Black leadership on Duke's campus. It's so many of us, and so many different corners at Duke. And that's what I appreciated. And when I came home, I'm like sitting in my brother's baseball game in East Point. My mom was like, oh, the mayor's here. She went to Duke. I'm like, what? I'm at a TED Talk event. I'm meeting another like Duke trustee. Oh, I've heard about you. She went to Duke. And it's like so many of these pieces of the puzzle was just coming together. I'm like, okay, maybe I do need to come to Duke. It was just Duke. So I got back on the bus. I was like, hey, y'all, I'm going to Duke. And that's what I did. I went to Duke.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, let me pronounce this right, Elom Co?
Elom Co.
Elom Co.
Yeah.
Okay. So what sparked that idea?
So a lot. So I've always wanted a production company. Always wanted a production company. I did not know it would be so soon. I think that kind of started like mid-COVID. Okay. I had a lot of things that was going on, and I was like, I want to do this, but I don't know how to do it. So I just called one of my mentors at the time. She was like the VP of Amazon at the time. No, VP of Aspire TV, then transitioned to Amazon. And I told her what I wanted to do. She was like, okay, Daya, why don't you just do it now? I'm like, what do you mean do it now? I'm like, I'm a sophomore in high school. I don't have the funds. I don't know where to start. Yeah. And she literally gave me the blueprint. She said, okay, this is how you do it. This is what you need to do. And sit with it. See if this is something that you really, really want to do. And if it's not a passion for you, move on. So I sat with it for a couple of weeks, and I literally just built this whole business plan. I was like, wow, this is very deep. Yeah. So I kicked it off going into my junior year. I want to say August, September. And I produced this poetic film because that was the goal of Elom Co Productions. It's not just a production company. It's like we're producing poetry videos. Then on top of that, we're networking students, post-grads, people in the entertainment industry. Like that's the goal because we live in Atlanta and we all know to make it in the creative industry, you have to know somebody to know somebody.
100%.
So if I know majority of these people, I'm going to provide that to the community. So that was the goal of Elom Co Production. So after that, after we produced our first poetic video, that's when we started doing events. And we partnered with so many people in Atlanta. So yeah, that kind of what sparked the inspiration of Elom Co Productions. I was expecting to do this like 10 years from now. Yeah. Once I have an established career, established name, but I'm like, hey, I did it. So here I am.
It's important to start early.
Right.
100%.
Absolutely.
And what is the importance of having a mentor? What do you feel like is that?
I think it's so important. I have a mentor probably in like every field. Yeah. I have a mentor when it comes to poetry. I have a mentor when it comes to finance. I have a mentor when it comes to creative, film mentors, like literally every single thing that I'm passionate about, I have a mentor in. Even school, I need someone to call on when I'm going through something in every single sector or not going through something. So I think it's very important to have a mentor. You need to. I always say like, if you want to be a teacher, you always have to be a student. So you can't just go out here and like trying to teach the world if you're not getting poured back into, because you have to learn from someone who's already been through it 10 times more than you. So I think that's why it's important to have a mentor. So yeah.
Yeah. So the social scholar.
The Scholar Social, yes.
The Scholar Social.
Yes.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So the Scholar Social, I started with a few colleagues that I did Harvard with, the Harvard program. And we were these 4 or 5 fiery group of students. We went to different schools in Atlanta and we wanted to bring something to the table. And we were like, you know what? No, actually we were at her mom's house and we were just talking like about everything. She was like, what is going on? Y'all need a podcast. We were like, huh? And we were like, she was like, you need a podcast. And so literally, again, started a business plan. We thought about who we wanted to partner with. And again, I think when something's really for you, things just start getting put into place, yeah. Right? And literally we were walking after class and we saw this like production studio situation, like right here on the west side. And they were like, oh, what do you guys do? We were like, oh, we're Harvard students and yada, yada, yada. They were like, but we want to start a podcast and we're like looking at different places to have it. They're like, you know what, come on in. And it was these 2 Black individuals, Comedy Hype is their name. Okay. They do amazing work here in Atlanta. And they were like, you guys can record your season 2 podcast here. So it just kept building. And then, you know, that came to an end because all of us wanted to do so many different things and all of us are very accomplished and still talk to this day. But I think the Scholar Social is what we needed in order to move on into different directions of our lives. Because after Scholar Social, that's when I started Elom Co Productions, and other members went off to college and did big things. Other members went to fashion school and is modeling, and the other member, I think she's doing like film producing, but everyone is doing something. And I feel like the Scholar Social was the reason of how we kind of, it was laid the foundation, I would say, to what we're doing now. So yeah.
Okay. And what year are you in college right now?
I'm going into my junior year of college. Okay. It's scary.
Yeah.
It's a lot, but it's scary.
Yeah, I'm going into my last year.
Ooh, you see now?
I'm ready to get up out of there.
I'm not ready. I'm not ready to get up out of there, y'all. I can't do it.
So how would you describe your freshman year at Duke?
Ooh, my freshman year at Duke University, a lot. I think when you go into college, right, you have this idea you can conquer the world. You have this idea, and life just starts hitting you. Life starts hitting you friendships, relationships, finance,
family.
Like everything just keeps going. I'm like, whoa, what is going on here? First semester of my freshman year, it was very, very hard. I went through trials and tribulations over and over and over again. I was like, can I deal with this? Can I be at Duke University? And it wasn't just about school. It was the people, it was the experiences. And it was also a culture shock because Atlanta is very different from Durham, North Carolina.
Yeah, 100%.
Very different.
Yeah.
And Duke is like a bubble. And so that second semester of my freshman year, I had to pull myself out of that. And I really had to take Duke for what it was. And I had to go after opportunities that I knew I wanted. So I had to kind of flip the narrative a little bit. I don't think I started getting really settled into Duke until like my sophomore year. And I think that's what a lot of people don't talk about in college. You don't get settled till your second, third year.
Facts.
Because that freshman year, it's a lot. It's a lot. And I think you just have to have patience with it. But yeah, that was my first year at Duke. It was traumatic, but I'm here.
And I have friends that go to North Carolina Central.
Yes, right down the street.
Yeah,
right
they
down
go
the
to a
street.
lot of Duke games. And
Hello, I'm at NCCU homecoming,
yeah,
okay?
that part.
Hello, because you need that experience.
100%, yeah.
PWIs.
So you're a poet,
Yeah.
journalist,
Yeah.
and director.
Mm-hmm.
Why are words and stories so central to your mission?
I think it's because you can change people with one word. I remember like when I was just writing poetry just for fun, and I like gave my poetry to a friend. It was like, Dale, are you good? I'm like, yeah, I'm good. She was like, well, this like truly moved me. And like once I started like hearing that consistently, and I was like, wow, like my words do have power to change somebody's life. We had an event at Brooklyn Tea one summer for Elom Co Productions. And it was like a very quaint like poetry reading. We had like a violinist. It was like really cute. It was a fundraiser for like a project we were working on. And this girl came up to me and she was like, Daya, like, you are like amazing. And I'm like, and she started telling me her life story. And I'm like, wow, it was so many connections and so many parallels. And so that's when I realized one word can really change you. And Maya Angelou once said, like, I'm not going to get the quote right, but she always said, nobody will remember your name, nobody will remember how anything, but they will always remember how you made them feel. Mm-hmm. Like that's in my email quote. Yeah. And once I heard that, I was like, you're absolutely right. Like, they're not going to remember your name. They're not going to remember what you look like, but they're going to remember like this essence of like how you made them feel just by words.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Most definitely. And I rock with Maya Angelou, Toni Morrison, Bell Hooks.
Hello, heavy on Bell Hooks.
Yeah. And I remember the first time I saw Love Jones.
Hello, Love Jones. Love Jones.
I stayed up till like 2 a.m. trying to write something myself.
What, blues for Nina? Yeah. The blues.
Hey, all I know is that's been deleted out there.
Oh my gosh, I love that movie.
Because you got to tap into a different part of your brain.
A different type of emotional intelligence.
Exactly.
That's what it takes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as a young black woman with a platform, how do you manage being the representation while also being authentic to yourself?
The representation. I really don't know. Like, yeah. I don't ever think that I thought about that because I feel like I'm always just being authentic. Myself.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think it's because I never really cared what people had to think. Even like when I was going viral, I'm like reading the comments. I'm like, okay, girl, I'm not losing sleep over this. Like, I know this is not who I am. But I always knew like what not to do. I think growing up with those eyes always on me, it became one of those things where I was just very cautious. Like, okay, I know I can't do this. I know I'm not going to that party, and I know I'm not going with these people. And that's kind of like what provided me with emotional intelligence. So I just don't think I've always been very structured of like focus on representation. I'm just being me, and if you don't like it, you know, there's nothing I can do about that.
Yeah.
But I have a sense of awareness. So that's what I can say to that.
100%. This is a question I've been wanting to ask you for a minute. What is a misconception people have about young leaders that you want to challenge?
That we don't have like lives, or actually scratch that. I think what I hear a lot is that I'm this what is this called? What do people call people? Stuck up or Hollywood?
Yeah.
Let it go.
Yeah.
Let it go. I think young people who are leaders and who have a lot of things under their resume and who have so many dreams, they're just wanting to get it done with, and not because they have all this time. It's because they want to, and it's in their heart, and that's their plan. I think some people just get their dreams completed sooner than others, and that's okay. Like, what did you expect these Disney stars to be? You thought they were done with Disney? No, they kept going and they kept going. Zendaya is a perfect example. And I often look at her blueprint too of how she started and where she is now, because she has a great way of like pivoting and changing with her audience, and that's what she did. So I think a lot of young leaders, a lot of young stars, they have this way of pivoting, and a lot of people don't like that. I think Justin Bieber at one point was one where a lot of people didn't appreciate that either. But at the end of the day, I think we just have to take these young leaders as they are, and just let them be them and let them handle it. I think a lot of older adults, I've experienced this a lot, where they make comments like, oh, you look too grown, or this is too much, or like, do you really need to do that now? You have time. But in my head, it's like, I don't have time.
At all.
At all.
That's what I hate the most. People are like, oh, you're young, you can take time.
Yeah, no. I think once I turned 20, I was like, ooh, now that clock is, right, the clock is clicking. Like, I'm no longer in high school. I'm approaching almost my third year in college. Yeah. I have a lot of things to figure out. So I really hate that terminology, oh, you have time. You never know. You never know. And it's like, make your mark now and handle it now.
Exactly.
So that's what I have to say to that.
And I have two things to say off what you just said. So the first one about people saying Hollywood and stuff like that, it's like once you get to a certain point, you kind of have to protect your energy so you can't have everybody have access to you.
Hello.
At all.
Absolutely. Relationships, friendships, that's what I had to learn in college and in high school. And that's what I noticed. Like, when I started protecting my space and protecting what I have around me, and if it's no longer serving me, I have to let it go. A lot of people didn't like that. But at the same time, it wasn't out of envy or spite. I still had respect. Like, you would never know, like, I'm distancing myself. I have respect.
Because I still want you to win.
I still want you to win. But
just not with me.
Just not with me. Yeah. And that's okay. It's okay. And that's something I also had to learn when I was, actually through my parents' divorce. Some people are there for seasons, not a lifetime. Yeah. And that goes with your personal life, and that goes with business. Everything. Some things are seasonal, and some things are long term. And I think a lot of people, it takes a lot for people to really grasp that type of mindset. But it's not, again, it's not out of spite. It's just like, I know where I want to be. And if you don't want to be in that same space, it's not going to work for me.
Exactly. And then the second part is where you say some people accomplish their goals before others. That goes back to when people say comparison is a thief of joy. It's like, when I see other people winning before me, I get inspired and I'm happy. It makes me want to work harder. I don't look and be like, how'd you get this? How'd you do this?
Exactly, because it sets the blueprint of like what you could do next. And it's not like you're copying somebody. It's like, oh, you're reminded that it is possible. Like, your dreams are not too far-fetched. Yeah. And I think that is a continuous reminder. That's why I love Atlanta. I love Atlanta because a lot of people are like that. A lot of people go after what they want, and they're going to make it happen out of nothing. They're going to work that job, that part-time job, in order to fund a project, you know, and that's what I appreciate. I like to be around people like that. I like to be around people who think 10 steps ahead. And if you're not thinking 10 steps ahead, I'm looking at you crazy, because it's like, my mind is constantly thinking 10 steps ahead. And if you're not, I'm not asking you to be on the same wavelength. I'm asking you to just at least strive for yourself. But that's what I appreciate about Atlanta. And I see it both in our age group, I see it in older age groups, and I see it in a lot of business execs, creative, in the creative industry as well. Yeah. So, yeah.
And I'm from the Bay, and I moved here in like 2020, and I'll never see myself leaving. I love Atlanta.
See? And I love Cali too. Love Cali, it's just not for me. It's not for me. I get it.
What does growth look like for you right now?
I see growth. I said this on my LinkedIn post the other day. I'm kind of going in a space where I want to be intentional. I think like how I was talking about my freshman year, it was like I had all these plans that just did not happen. Growth for me was publishing my book. Growth for me was taking that next step that I was afraid of. I was sitting on that book for like 3 years, and it was done, it was ready, and I was just scared to put it out in the world. So growth for me is just being true to myself and being intentional in the spaces that I want to be in. So yeah, that's growth, and just having patience with it. I think we see growth as like this rapid process, and it's not. It's this slow process that you have to have patience with and let it build and let it build and let it build, and boom, you're there. So I'm learning those things, and that's what growth looks like in this chapter of my life.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
So your book, you just released a book. How long ago?
About a month or so now.
About a month ago?
Yeah.
Okay. So how's the process of getting it published?
Yeah.
The promo run?
It's a lot. I'm going to be completely transparent. I talked to multiple publications, from the small ones to the big ones. It was a lot. The creative industry is in this weird limbo right now.
Yeah, with AI.
A lot of things aren't getting approved, and that was another thing with the waiting process. Like, I was having meeting after meeting after meeting, and it was like my manager, she was like, just self-publish. I'm like, girl, can I self-publish? I don't think I'm capable of that. She was like, everyone can self-publish, and so that's what I did. And I did it in a time where I was heartbroken, I was tired, I remember like when the book was published, and I just posted the video and I turned back around because I was just so sad and so depressed. But then afterwards, like a couple days later, I was like, I finally got up and I finally realized what I did and how I did it, because I'm getting all these messages, and I'm hearing all these people like, wow, like, Daya, this is probably like one of the best books that I've read. And it was a small book, it's a poetry book. And just hearing that, and then again, going back to that thing where one word can change your life or have power, that's kind of like what made me like get back up and really hit the ground running. But yeah, the book I was sitting on for a very long time. Yeah. The book has a beautiful story to it. Yeah. A beautiful story to it.
I need to check it out.
Yes, it does, it does. But yeah, that's the process. The process in terms of writing it all the way to publishing it. It was a beautiful story that comes with heartbreak, pain, transformation, and growth. Yeah. So yeah.
You accomplished a lot already, but I know it's still the beginning.
Right.
What do you want your legacy to look like?
You know what? I've been really thinking about that. I don't think I have an answer for that just yet. I have this idea of all the things that I want to do, but in terms of what I want people to remember me off of, I don't know. I don't know just yet, and I think that would just like take time. And low key, I want people to kind of figure it out.
That's for them.
Figure it out. Like, in what ways have I inspired you? That's what I want to know. But yeah, I want people to let me know, like, what would you remember me off of? Like, God forbid I don't live tomorrow, what will I be remembered of? Exactly. So I'm going to just let the world figure that out. And I'm going to just do what I got to do to get to the point where I want to be. Yeah,
because when it's all over, all that counts is how the story is told.
Hello. For real. How the story is told. I like that.
Yeah, most definitely. So what advice do you have to the young black girl watching this that's dreaming, but that's the young black girl that's watching this who's dreaming but is unsure where to start?
Don't compare yourself to everyone. Let go of things that are no longer serving you. And I mean, men, friends, business deals, all of it. Let it go. Even if it's something you're personally battling with yourself, just let it go. And it doesn't have to be this big, grand thing. It just needs to be a silent walking away. And I feel like when you walk away from certain things in your life, things just start happening for you. And that's just a life goal that I think anybody, a woman, man, anybody needs to take with them. But that's what I wanted to be told when I was kind of going through this elevation in life. I wanted to be told, just walk away. Walk away, because certain things was holding me back from my potential. And when I'm held back from my potential, I feel stagnant. And one thing I do not like is feeling stagnant, because now I feel like I gave myself too much to something that does not serve me. And once I feel that way, it's like, you have to go into this deep reflection. I had to go into a lot of deep reflection in college, a lot of deep reflection. And it's just like, is this who I want to be? Is this what I want to do? Is this still something I'm passionate in? So I feel like continuously question yourself. So those are my probably top three.
Top three?
Top three, yeah.
Okay. What inspires you personally?
What inspires me? The end goal. The end goal. I want to be able to look at this whole video right here 10 years from now. I'm like, wow, I did it. Mm-hmm. I officially made this goal, this dream a reality. And I always like the terminology, like your dreams aren't too far-fetched, because they're not. So yeah, that's the end goal. Of course, family, friends. I want my family to be proud of me. I want them to feel like, okay, they did their part. That's always been very continuous in my journey. So yeah, that's the inspiration.
Yeah. And then you talk about the dreams aren't too far-fetched. There's a thing that I follow called like positive delusion, because you could be negative and be delusional in the way of, oh, this isn't gonna work out for me, I don't know. Or you can be positive and be delusional because it hasn't happened yet. Right. So you can kind of sway and determine how that's gonna go for you.
Exactly.
Most definitely. But yeah, I appreciate you for coming through, and keep going. I'm gonna follow your journey.
Of course, thank you for having me. I like this. This is needed in our community.
100%. Yeah.
This is needed.
Definitely. Appreciate y'all for tuning in.